Today, we're not starting with a court case or some new piece of legislation. Nope. This explainer kicks off with just a single, pretty confrontational letter. A letter from a citizen to their bank that doesn't just question a simple transaction. It accuses the bank and pretty much the entire country of being a criminal enterprise.
So, yeah, this is from a real letter someone sent to their bank. And the crime they're talking about? Well, the bank just followed a legal order to transfer some money to the tax office. What most of us would see as a pretty standard, maybe annoying, but normal procedure, the writer of this letter sees as an outright illegal act. And believe me, they are not the only one.
So you have to ask, right? Where does a claim this huge even come from? This isn't just about one angry person. It's an idea that's actually rooted in a very specific, you could say alternative, reading of the law. A reading that's shared by a growing number of people who believe the whole system has just gone rogue.
Okay, part 1, the illegitimate system argument. Let's dig into their core belief.
See, this isn't really about a bank account or one tax bill. It's a fundamental belief that the entire Polish state is illegitimate. Here's the heart of their argument, right from one of their statements. They believe political parties have no right to make laws. And the conclusion they draw from that is, well, it's staggering. They're saying that every single law passed since 1989 is totally invalid. Not just a few bad ones, all of them.
And here's how they build that case, piece by piece. First, the judiciary. They say it's illegal because judges aren't elected. Political parties? They argue they have no right to legislate. Tax offices? Oh, those are just holdovers from the communist regime. Every single piece of their puzzle points to one conclusion: a complete, top-to-bottom rejection of the state's authority as we know it.
Okay, part 2, the Constitution's text. To really get what's going on, we have to go right to the source.
So here's the first big clash. The challengers look at Article 11 and they lock onto one idea, that parties can't exercise power directly. But the established constitutional framework says, hey, you have to read the whole sentence. Parties exist to influence policy through democratic means. And Article 10 then gives the lawmaking power to the parliament, which of course is made up of representatives from those very parties. It's a subtle distinction, but it makes all the difference in the world.
Now let's look at the courts. The challenger's view is pretty straightforward. If judges aren't elected by the people, they're not legitimate. Simple as that. But the Constitution itself describes a totally different model. Article 173 sets up the courts as a separate and independent power, with judges appointed, not elected, specifically to insulate them from political pressure. We're talking about two completely different philosophies for how a government should work.
And this right here gets us back to that bank letter. It's a brilliant example of their whole approach. The challengers pull out Article 42, the presumption of innocence, and argue that you can't be forced to pay taxes unless you've been convicted of a crime. But when you actually look at the Constitution, Article 42 is all about criminal law. Meanwhile, a totally different article, Article 84, says, nope, paying taxes is a civic duty for everyone. It's an administrative thing, not a criminal one.
So, what does this all boil down to? Part 3. A conflict of interpretation.
What we've got here are not two groups reading different books. They are reading the exact same book, the Polish Constitution, but they're coming away with two completely different realities. This table just lays it out perfectly. In the challenger's world, the only real law is the Constitution itself. Judges have to be elected, and paying taxes, that's a penalty you only face after a criminal trial. But in the established system, the laws passed by Parliament are valid. Judges are appointed to be independent, and paying taxes is just part of being a citizen. These are two completely different blueprints for a country.
Ultimately, the whole conflict comes down to method. The challenger's approach is to find a phrase they like presumed innocent, pull it out of its context, and just apply it everywhere. The established legal system, on the other hand, says you have to practice a holistic interpretation, where the meaning of any one part is understood by how it fits with all the other parts to make a system that actually, works.
Okay, last part. Part 4. Why this matters. Because this is about so much more than just a legal debate.
So why do these ideas take hold in the first place? Well, because this is rarely just about legal theory. It's usually a symptom of something much deeper, a profound breakdown of trust. When people feel like the system is failing them, that it's corrupt or broken or just doesn't care,
They start looking for answers and solutions that exist completely outside of that system.
Which leaves us with a really critical question. Look, every healthy democracy needs people to challenge authority. That's how things get better. But these interpretations, they seem to go a step further. They're not just challenging the system, they're rejecting its very right to exist. So the question for all of us is, where's that line between healthy skepticism of the state and a complete rejection of the social contract?